chosen one. They thought that by silencing you, they were destroying your influence, but they failed to understand that their every attempt to erase your voice was making you stronger. While they were celebrating your apparent silence, God was working behind the scenes. He was preparing you in stillness, molding you into a vessel of unshakable truth. They did not know that silence is not the end, it is the beginning. You were growing sharper in the shadows. Your voice was being made more powerful for a return they never imagined. Now that your silence is over, your voice is not just loud, it is a roar. You are no longer speaking with hesitation or uncertainty. What they tried to suppress has returned as a force they can no longer control. Every word that comes out of your mouth is now powerful. What they thought was for your destruction, God has turned it into a weapon of your truth. They wanted to bury your message, but in doing so, they made it even louder. They thought they were diminishing your power by silencing you, but they failed to see the bigger picture. In trying to erase you, they only helped God lift you up. God turned their every attempt to silence your voice into fuel for your upliftment. You are not just back, you are a force. God has given you a voice that is louder, more powerful and more weighty than ever before. Your voice is no longer a whisper, it is a declaration. And this time, they cannot ignore it. Every word you speak from now on will have the power of God's purpose behind it. Now you are returning with a megaphone, your voice amplified by the very trials that were meant to silence you. So, chosen ones, now is your time. Send a powerful message to the universe by subscribing to the channel before you are lost in this transformation. Before proceeding with the video, you can mark your presence in the register of the universe by typing 999 in the comment. The attempt to silence. You wasn't your defeat, it was your refinement. When people tried to silence you, they thought they were destroying your influence and power. To them, taking away your voice meant taking away your ability to make a difference. But what they didn't realize was that silencing you wasn't the end of your journey. It was just the beginning of something much greater. Instead of being a period of defeat, it became a time of growth and refinement for you. It wasn't a moment of loss, but a moment where you were being prepared for something bigger than they could ever imagine. Think of it like this. When a blade is being sharpened, it's pressed against something hard and rough. The friction that comes from this process makes the blade sharper and more effective than it was before. In the same way, the silence they forced on you became the sharpening tool for your voice and your purpose. What they thought was a way to diminish you, God used as a way to strengthen you. Every day you spent in silence wasn't wasted. It was a time of preparation, where you were being made stronger and more powerful. During this time of quiet, God was at work. He allowed the silence because He had a bigger plan. In the stillness, He was amplifying your purpose. While they thought you were being erased, God was refining your message, making it even clearer and more impactful. He was working on your heart, building up your strength, and shaping your mind to be ready for what was to come. This wasn't just a period of waiting, it was a period of transformation. Every setback, every moment of frustration, and every insult became part of your preparation. When we go through challenges like these, it's easy to feel defeated. It's natural to think that being silenced means we've lost or that we've failed. But God sees things differently. What looks like defeat to us is often just the beginning of a new phase of our growth. The silence they forced on you didn't mean the end of your story. It was God's way of getting you ready for the next chapter. He was making sure that when you came back, you would be stronger, wiser, and ready to speak with even more authority than before. The people who tried to silence you couldn't see what was really happening. They didn't realize that their attempts to erase your voice were actually making it louder. They thought they were taking away your influence, but in reality, they were helping you gain more power. God was turning their actions into something good for you. While they were busy trying to suppress you, God was sharpening your voice for a powerful comeback, a comeback they never saw coming. Now, when you speak, your words carry more weight than they ever did before. You've been through the fire, and you've come out stronger. You've been refined by the challenges you faced, and now your voice is sharper, clearer, and more impactful than ever. What they meant for harm, God used for your growth. Every moment of silence was just preparation for the moment when your voice would be heard again. So, remember this: their attempt to silence you wasn't your defeat. It was your refinement. God was using that time to make you into the person you needed to become. And now that you've come through the other side, your voice is more powerful than ever. In the silence, God was preparing you for something greater. In those moments of silence, when it seemed like your voice had been taken away, something deeper was happening. While others might have thought you had been silenced for good, God was quietly at work behind the scenes. He wasn't just standing by watching, He was actively preparing you for something far greater than what anyone, including you, could have imagined. The silence wasn't a sign of defeat or the end of your influence. Instead, it was the beginning of something new and powerful that was unfolding. It's important to remember that God often works in ways we don't immediately see or understand. When everything feels quiet and it seems like you're not making any progress, that's often when He's doing His most important work. In the stillness, God was shaping and molding you, preparing you to be a vessel of truth. He was refining your character, strengthening your faith, and building up the endurance you would need for the future. This wasn't just about protecting you from harm, it was about preparing you to stand strong when the time was right. Think of it like a seed planted in the ground. For a time it seems like nothing is happening. It's buried in darkness, and from the outside, it looks like there's no growth or movement. But underneath the surface, that seed is sprouting roots. It's preparing for the day it will break through the soil and grow into something strong and visible. That's what was happening to you during your time of silence. You were like that seed, planted in a period of stillness. But beneath the surface, God was helping you grow stronger and deeper in ways that weren't immediately visible to others. During this time, God was also building your resilience. Resilience isn't something that's developed during easy times. It's built in the hard moments when you face challenges and setbacks. In the silence, you were learning how to rely on God more fully, how to trust in His timing, and how to find strength even when things felt uncertain. This period of quiet was giving you the tools you would need to handle whatever came next, so that when your voice returned, you would be ready to speak with power and conviction. God wasn't just preparing you for the future, He was amplifying your voice. It's like when you turn the volume up on a speaker, you may not hear it getting louder right away, but when the sound comes through, it's powerful and clear. That's what God was doing with your voice. He was getting it ready to be heard in a new and stronger way, but the time for that hadn't yet arrived. He was working in the background, making sure that when you spoke again, your words would carry the weight of truth and purpose. Now, the time has come. What felt like a long period of silence was actually a time of preparation. The strength, endurance, and resilience God built in you during that time have made you ready to face what's ahead. You're not just coming back. You're coming back stronger, with a voice that's been amplified by the very stillness you went through. Those who thought your silence meant the end didn't realize that God was setting the stage for something far greater. Your voice isn't just returning, it's coming back with a power that can't be ignored. The silence was never the end. It was God's way of preparing you for this moment, when your voice would carry further and have more impact than ever before. Now, as you step into this new season, you're ready to speak with confidence, knowing that God has been preparing you all along for something greater, the roar that comes after the stillness. When a period of silence comes to an end, it doesn't just fade away quietly. Sometimes it erupts with a force that no one saw coming. That's what happens when your voice, once suppressed, returns with power and purpose. What once seemed like a whisper now becomes a roar. You are no longer speaking with hesitation or doubt. Every word you say is now backed by confidence and conviction, born out of the silence you endured. The very thing that was meant to weaken or silence you has in fact made you stronger. Think of a lion which remains quiet and still before it lets out its powerful roar. After a long period of quiet, the lion's roar is not just a sound. It's a declaration of strength, a sign that it is present and in control of its territory. In the same way, your voice has now become a roar. It's not just noise. It's a force that shakes the foundations of everything that was built to oppress or diminish you. What people once dismissed or ignored is now impossible to overlook. During the time when you were quiet, people may have assumed that you were defeated or that your influence had been taken away. But in reality, God was using that time to amplify your message, to give it more weight and authority. Now that you are speaking again, your voice carries the power of truth. Truth that can't be denied or suppressed any longer. The people who tried to silence you never expected that your words would come back stronger, and they certainly didn't anticipate that your message would become even more impactful. This new voice of yours isn't just louder, it's clearer. You're not speaking out of frustration or fear. Instead, you're speaking with a calm but undeniable power. Your words are now like a roar that commands attention. They don't just echo, they resonate deeply with the people who hear them. And that's because your voice is no longer just your own. It's been strengthened by God, and it carries a divine purpose that reaches far beyond what anyone thought possible. The things you say now carry the weight of everything you've been through. Your experiences, your struggles, and your time of silence have all added depth to your words. What once may have seemed like simple statements now carry profound meaning. People can feel the truth in what you're saying because it's backed by the strength you've gained through adversity. Your voice is now a tool for justice, healing, and change. It's not just about being heard anymore. It's about making an impact that can't be ignored. God has not only restored your voice, but He has magnified it. What was once small and contained is now expansive, reaching people and places you never thought it would. Your message carries with it the authority of someone who has been refined by fire, someone who has come through trials and emerged stronger on the other side. There's a power in that kind of voice that can't be manufactured or faked. It's the kind of voice that can move mountains, challenge injustice, and bring light to dark places. The world may have been comfortable with your silence, but now they must reckon with the roar of your voice. It's a roar that speaks of resilience, strength, and truth. And the beautiful thing is that this roar isn't just about making noise. It's about bringing change. It's about speaking truth to power. It's about lifting up others who have been silenced, giving them hope, and showing them that their voices matter too. Your voice is now a roar that will echo far and wide. It's a roar that declares victory over the forces that tried to hold you back. It's a roar that signals a new beginning, not just for you, but for everyone who has been waiting for someone to stand up and speak out. And now, with your amplified voice, the world has no choice but to listen. Your message, your truth, and your roar are here to stay, shaking the very foundations of everything that once stood in your way. Your voice is a weapon of truth. Your voice is now more than just words. It has become a weapon of truth. Every time you speak, There is power behind your words, not just because of what you've been through, but because God has transformed your voice into something that can't be ignored. What people tried to use to destroy you, whether it was silence, doubt, or rejection, God has used to sharpen and strengthen you. Now your voice carries a force that cuts through lies, injustice, and fear. When they tried to bury your message, they didn't realize that they were actually helping it grow, like a seed planted in the ground. Your message was hidden for a time, but instead of being forgotten, it was being nourished. That time of silence, meant to diminish your influence, only gave God more time to prepare you. Your voice wasn't being buried, it was being refined. Now every word you speak is more powerful and precise, like a sharp blade that cuts through the confusion and deception around you. This transformation of your voice is something only God could do. He took what was meant to break you and turned it into a tool for His purpose. Your voice is now a weapon in God's hands, capable of confronting oppression, exposing falsehoods, and bringing hope to those in need. It's no longer just about being heard. It's about bringing change, breaking chains, and speaking truth to power. Your words have become a force for good, and they are more impactful now than ever before. What they feared most, your influence, has not only survived but has become unstoppable. The attempts to silence you have backfired because God was working behind the scenes, amplifying your voice. Now, you're no longer speaking quietly or hesitantly. You're speaking boldly, with the full authority of someone who has been through the fire and come out stronger. God gave you a megaphone, and your voice is no longer limited to a small circle. It is now reaching farther than ever before. Your message is being carried to places you never thought it would reach, touching lives you never expected to impact. What once seemed like an effort to silence you has only made your voice louder, clearer, and more powerful than ever. Now, you stand as a living example that truth cannot be silenced, and with God's power behind you, your voice will continue to break barriers and bring light into the darkest places. What they tried to destroy, God has amplified. When they tried to silence you, they thought they were taking away your power. They believed that by erasing your voice, they could erase your influence, making you disappear from the world's view. But what they didn't realize was that God had a bigger plan in store. In trying to suppress you, they were unknowingly setting the stage for God to elevate you in ways they never imagined. What they intended for harm, God has turned into something far greater, your rise. Every attempt they made to silence you has become the very fuel for your growth and success. Instead of diminishing your power, the challenges you faced have amplified it. The moments of silence weren't wasted, they were transformative. During that time, God was preparing you for something much bigger than you could have seen. It may have felt like the world had turned its back on you, but God was working behind the scenes, taking every setback and using it to build something extraordinary in your life. While they were busy trying to erase you, God was positioning you for a platform that is now larger and more powerful than ever before. Think of it like this. They tried to bury you, but they didn't realize you were a seed. In their efforts to hide you away, they only helped plant you in a place where you could grow. Now, that seed has blossomed into something much stronger, more visible, and far-reaching than before. The silence they forced upon you has been transformed into a megaphone, broadcasting your truth to the world. Your voice, once quieted, has returned with even greater strength, and now it resonates with more people than ever. Your platform has expanded, and your voice carries more weight. What they thought would be your downfall has become the foundation for your rise. Every challenge, every insult, every attempt to push you aside has been used by God to elevate your purpose. Now, you're not just speaking, You're speaking with a power that comes from overcoming adversity. People can feel the strength in your message because they know it's been tested and refined in the fire. They can hear the truth in your voice because it's not just words. It's lived experience, backed by resilience and determination. This elevation is something that only God could orchestrate. The very people who tried to destroy you are now witnessing your rise, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. What they tried to suppress has only grown louder. Your voice is not just back, it's stronger than ever before. Your message is reaching hearts and minds in ways they never expected, touching lives far beyond what you imagined. God has amplified everything about you, your voice, your influence, your impact. What once seemed like an effort to diminish you has resulted in your truth being broadcast more widely than ever. The silence they imposed on you wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where your voice, your purpose, and your message are all magnified by God's hand. Now your truth resonates far and wide, reaching people who need to hear it. Your platform has grown, and your message is stronger, clearer, and more powerful than ever before. The very silence they tried to force on you has become the tool God is using to amplify your voice, making it impossible to ignore. What they intended for your destruction, God has turned into your elevation, and there is no limit to how far your voice will now carry. The people who doubted you will now witness your rise. The people who once doubted you, who celebrated your silence and worked to diminish your voice, are about to witness something they never expected: your rise. They thought they had buried you, thinking that their rejection, insults, and attempts to erase your presence would be the final chapter of your story. But what they didn't realize is that you were like a seed planted in the dark. In that space of stillness, hidden from the world, you were growing stronger, deeper, and more resilient. What they saw as your end was actually the beginning of something far more powerful. God has been with you every step of the way, fortifying you through every trial you faced. The challenges that were meant to break you have only served to build you up. Each rejection you encountered became a tool for your growth, each insult an opportunity to refine your strength. Through every struggle, God was working behind the scenes, shaping you into someone unshakable. They may have tried to silence you, but in that silence, God was preparing you for a comeback that no one could stop. Now, the very people who doubted your resilience, who believed you were finished, will be the ones to witness your return. They will see that their efforts to erase your voice only made it stronger. What they feared most, your ability to rise and make an impact, has come to pass, and they can no longer deny the power and presence you carry. Your voice is not just back. It's louder, clearer, and carries more weight than ever before. It is no longer just words. It is a force that can't be ignored. Like a seed that emerges from the soil after a season in the dark, your rise is inevitable. But this time, you're not just growing, you're flourishing. Every challenge you faced has been turned into fuel for your ascent. Your voice, once silenced, now echoes with the strength of someone who has been through the fire and come out refined. The silence they forced upon you has been transformed into a platform, and now your message resonates far beyond what they ever imagined. Your return isn't just about being heard again, it's about being seen for the strength, resilience, and purpose that have been cultivated in you. The same people who thought your silence was a victory for them will now see that it was simply a pause before your rise. They will have no choice but to watch as you step into your purpose, stronger than before, more determined, and ready to make a lasting impact. This time, your voice is unshakable. It's not just about speaking. It's about speaking with the authority and clarity of someone who has been through trials and emerged victorious. The obstacles you faced were not setbacks. They were setups for your comeback. And now, as you rise, you do so with a power that cannot be denied. Your message is undeniable because it's been shaped by everything you've endured. It carries the weight of truth, perseverance, and divine purpose. And now, it's time for the world to hear it. The people who once tried to silence you will be forced to recognize that your voice is here to stay, stronger and more impactful than ever. Your rise is not just a return, it's a declaration that what they thought was buried has only grown more powerful in the hands of God. They may have doubted you once, but now they will witness your rise, and they will see that you are unstoppable. Your voice, your presence, and your purpose have been fortified by the very things they thought would defeat you. And now, there is no turning back. You have emerged stronger, more resilient, and ready to take on the world. Your rise is not just personal, it's a testament to the power of resilience, faith, and the unstoppable force of someone who refuses to be silenced. God's plan cannot be thwarted. They may have tried to silence you, to push you down, or to erase you entirely. But there's one thing they failed to understand. God's plan for your life is unshakable, and no matter what opposition you face, it cannot be thwarted. People can plot and plan, but when God has a purpose for you, nothing and no one can stand in the way of His will. His plans for you were never dependent on your circumstances or the actions of others. They were set in motion long before you even realized it. And now, as you stand at the edge of your comeback, it's clear that His divine purpose is coming to fruition in ways that can't be stopped. There's a powerful question that the Bible asks. If God is for us, who can be against us? The answer is simple: no one. The forces that tried to silence you were only able to do so temporarily because they couldn't understand the depth of God's plan for you. They thought they could break you, but they failed to recognize that you were never meant to be destroyed. You were meant to endure, to grow, and to rise up in strength, all in accordance with God's will for your life. His purpose was always greater than anything they could do to you. While they tried to hold you back, God was already at work preparing you for something bigger. What they meant for harm, God used to turn into your victory. Every insult, every rejection, every attempt to erase your voice has only become part of the process that's leading to your ultimate success. God didn't let their actions defeat you. Instead, He used those very challenges to strengthen you, to shape you into someone who is unstoppable. When you were pushed down, God lifted you up. When they tried to shut you out, God made room for you to speak even louder. The truth is, they couldn't stop you because your voice wasn't just yours. It was God's. God's purpose for you isn't just about being heard. It's about being a vessel for His message. And now, as you stand ready to return, you aren't just going back with your own voice. You're going back with a megaphone, amplifying the truth that He has placed within you. Your voice carries weight because it is filled with purpose. It's not just about speaking to be heard. It's about speaking to change lives, to bring truth to those who need it, and to stand firm in the face of adversity. You may have felt silenced for a time, but it was never permanent. What you've endured has only strengthened you for the mission that lies ahead. You are now equipped with a power that cannot be ignored, a message that is undeniable, and a purpose that cannot be thwarted. God's plan for you is unfolding exactly as it was meant to, and nothing will stop it. In this season, God is sending you back with more than just your voice. You're being sent with the power to change hearts, to inspire others, and to remind the world that God's plans cannot be stopped. You are unstoppable. You are here for a reason, and that reason is greater than any obstacle that may come your way. Your comeback is proof that God's purpose for your life is unstoppable, and He is sending you out with a megaphone to make sure the world hears it. This time, your voice is unstoppable. You're not just back, you're back with a force that cannot be ignored. What once was a quiet whisper has now become a bold, resounding declaration that is impossible to silence. God has taken everything you've been through, every trial, every moment of struggle, and used it to equip you with a voice that is louder, more powerful, and carries more weight than ever before. This isn't just about the volume of your words, it's about the truth, the strength, and the purpose behind them. In the past, when you spoke, maybe you felt like you were unheard, like your words didn't make the impact you wanted. But everything has changed. You've been through the fire, refined by the heat of the challenges you've faced. The pain, the doubts, the moments where it felt like everything was falling apart, they were not in vain. Each of those moments has been part of God's plan to strengthen you, to build your resilience, and to prepare you for the moment when your voice would no longer be a whisper, but a force to be reckoned with. Now, you stand strong, unmovable. No matter what opposition comes your way, you know who you are and whose you are. Your voice is no longer timid or uncertain. It carries with it the confidence that comes from knowing God's purpose for you is undeniable. Every word you speak is infused with the power of God's truth, and it is a truth that the world cannot ignore. It doesn't matter who tries to silence you or dismiss you. Your message has already been set in motion, and it is unstoppable. What they didn't know when they tried to erase you is that they were only helping to amplify you. Every rejection, every moment of being overlooked or silenced has contributed to the power of your voice today. It wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to refine you. Now, when you speak with authority. When you stand with the strength that comes from knowing you have been prepared for this moment. God's purpose for you is behind every word you speak, and that purpose is far bigger than any obstacle. The world will hear you not just because your voice has grown louder, but because the message behind it carries undeniable truth. You're not speaking just to fill the air, you're speaking to change hearts, to move mountains, to inspire those around you, and to remind the world of the power of God's truth. And because of that truth, your voice can never be silenced again. The power behind your words comes from the fact that they are not just your words, they are words of purpose, words that carry the weight of everything you've been through and everything you are meant to accomplish. Your voice has been crafted by God Himself, and it is unstoppable. This time, when you speak, the world will listen, not because of the volume, but because of the undeniable force of the truth that you carry. You've been prepared for this. You've been refined in the fire. And now you stand unshaken, ready to speak with the authority and power that only God can give. Your voice is unstoppable, and nothing can stand in the way of the message you have to share. The world is about to hear what you have to say, and this time they will listen. Conclusion: they tried to kill your voice, but God was preparing something greater in you all along. Now you're returning with a megaphone, your voice amplified by the very trials that were meant to silence you. This is your season of reckoning, your season to speak louder than ever before, with a truth that cannot be denied or ignored.